Hey guys, Will here. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial about how to play Versus. I'm going to look at card anatomy, tell you what everything means, and then I'm going to take you through how the turn progresses and the different phases in each turn. So the first thing you need to know is that each player starts with 50 endurance. That's your life points. That's the stuff that keeps you alive. If a player knocks his opponent below to 0 or below it, to 0 endurance or below, that player wins. Next, you start with 4 cards in your hand. Each player is allowed to mulligan once per game at the beginning of the game. If you don't like your 4 cards, you put those 4 cards on the bottom of your deck, then draw 4 new ones. That's a mulligan. So here we have the anatomy of a card. At the top you have the name, which is the card name. Duh. You see recruit cost. That's how many resource points it costs to get characters into play. And version is just version differentiates different copies of each character. On the side you have the team affiliation, flight range indicators. The top number is in the lower left. The top number is attack value, bottom is defense value, and the text under the picture is the text box. That's where all the effects go. For plot, that's for characters and equipment. For plot twists and locations, at the top left you have threshold cost. That is, you can only play that card if you have that many number of resources in your resource row. Plot twists and locations do not cost resource points to play, so you can play as many as you want per turn, so long as you meet the threshold. On the side, it tells you card type. Versus cards, they're all color-coded. Red or black is characters, blue is plot twists, green is locations, gray is equipment, and we'll get into that. So, moving on, character cards. Character cards these are the people you use in your deck. These are it's pretty self-explanatory here. These are the guys you use to attack, and these guys defend your endurance. Without character cards, if a player does not have character cards in play, his opponents are free to attack his endurance directly and really chunk him down. They can come into play hidden or visible. Visible characters are in a red border. Hidden characters are in a black border. Next is plot twists. Plot twists are events or ideas or actions that come up during games that affect so many things. Some are attack pumps, some are search your deck for this, some are do this, and they are used to improve characters or help out wherever. They're used for different effects. Next is locations. Locations are literally locations. If you can think of locations in a comic book, it's probably in a Versus card. That's pretty self-explanatory. These are usually locations have effects that can be used once per turn or are repeatable or give you a constant boost to help out your team. These are green bordered, and again, these have thresholds. So one thing you need to know about locations, like character cards, they are both unique. You cannot have 2 of the same location face up, and you cannot have 2 of the same character with the same version face up. So that's important. Next up is equipment. Equipment are gray bordered cards. These represent gear, tools, and knickknacks and paddywhacks that characters in comic books use. You can equip equipment to characters as long as you pay the resource points needed to recruit that equipment. Equipment can only be recruited onto visible characters unless that equipment says otherwise. Some equipment will say concealed or concealed optional, and that'll allow you to recruit it onto hidden characters. So that's something. Sometimes equipment does have the unique characteristic it will say on the card. In that case, you can only have one of that equipment. An example here is the Blackbird Blue. It's a freaking jet. You're only gonna. I think the X-Men only have one. So things like that, keep in line with the comic book. We're now going to talk about the phases of the game. First up is the draw phase. This happens first. Both players enter the draw phase at the same time. Each player draws 2 cards off the top of the deck, and if any effects happen now, they happen. Yeah, if any location or character effect says do this during the draw phase, you do it now. Next up is the build phase. The player with initiative enters the build phase first, and he performs 3 steps: resource step, recruit step, and formation step. During the resource step, you are able to take 1 card from your hand and put it face down into your resource row. During your recruit step, you gain a number of resource points equal to the number of resources you have in your resource row. So it's very important. Resource points are used to recruit characters and equipment, so those are important. Next is your formation step. That is when you look at your character field, and you can reorganize your characters, moving them from the front row to the support row, or support row to front row, side to side, wherever, in a formation that you like, that fits your playstyle. Once the primary player has completed his build, all 3 steps in the build phase for him, it moves on to the next player in turn, and that player completes those 3 steps. When all players are done, they move into the combat phase. The player with initiative takes his attack step first. Now, during the combat phase, players can use their characters to attack each other. This helps you whittle down your opponent's life points. Essentially, I'm beating your army down, you're suffering for it. Each player has his own attack step. That's when I can attack or you can attack. During the attack step, I'm allowed to attack as many times as I have characters that can attack. Now, who can attack? In Versus, there's a front row and a support row. Characters with flight can fly over enemy characters in the front row to attack characters in the support row. Characters with range, normally characters without range must only attack from the front row. If you are in the support row without range, you cannot attack. Range lets you attack from the support row. A character with flight and range can attack from the support row to the enemy support row, jumping over their front line. To declare an attack, a player chooses a ready character he controls that can attack, and designates a target on the opponent's side of the field to defend. To attack, you exhaust your character, which is to turn it 90 degrees to the right or left, whichever you, if you're right-handed, Then, once everything is declared legal, those characters become attackers and defenders. To resolve an attack, you compare, if I'm attacking, I compare my attack to the defender's defense. If my attack is equal to or greater than that defender's defense, I stun that defender. Then you compare the defender's attack to my defense, to my attacker's defense. This gives the defender, a chance to quote-unquote backstun the... Hold on. Dog break. Enough. That's my dog. We're going to leave that in there, because that's cool. So, when I'm attacking, my character is looking to stun the defender. but the defender also has a chance to stun my attacker. So you cross-compare defense and attack, and resolve any stunning. When a character becomes stunned, it is turned face down, and that character's controller loses endurance equal to that character's recruit cost. That's the main way of whittling down endurance. You also, another important thing is breakthrough. If my character with 15 attack attacks your character with 7 defense, you subtract the difference and also subtract that from endurance. So 15 minus 7 is 8. I would be causing 8 breakthrough. I hope that makes sense. It's a lot easier. Again, this is easier when you have the cards in front of you and you can play this out. That'll help you a lot. There is another mechanic of reinforcement that is good to know. Reinforcement it's one of your characters helping another take an attack. Basically, that's what it means. What reinforcement does is, during combat, it cancels out breakthrough damage. So, like I said, if my character has 15 attack and I am just punching your character with 7 defense in the face, you're going to take 8 breakthrough plus whatever stun damage I cause you. To reinforce, you exhaust a support row, an adjacent support row character to the defender. So, by doing this, you cancel out breakthrough, so I can only cause stun damage. That is very useful, both offensively and defensively. So I can prey on my opponent's weak characters to cause them to exhaust more of their characters, so they cannot prey on me. That's important. Then, if your opponent controls no visible non-stunned characters, I can attack direct. What that means, hidden characters, if your characters come into play hidden, they're hidden. They cannot be attacked unless an effect says so. So, if I have no characters defending my endurance, my opponent is free to just throw bricks at me, and I can do nothing. So that is a lot of what comprises the attack steps and combat phase. It is when players declare attacks to really hit their opponents hard. That's where most of the fighting and endurance loss takes place during versus. Last phase of the game is the recovery phase. During this phase, each player is allowed to select one of his stunned characters and recover that character. Then all players ready all exhausted characters and exhausted locations he controls. When this is all done, the turn resets itself into you go into the next turn, and you pick up the draw phase, and you just keep going through the turn order. The initiative shifts back and forth between between players. If there's only 2, or usually clockwise if there's more than 2. So that's been my tutorial on how to play Versus. I hope this helped you. If you have any comments, questions, or thoughts, leave it in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time.